Hello, I'm Roger Hoylman.
My name is Lisa Burns.
My name is Cook Harvey.
Hi, my name is Carly Hoylman.
My name is Jim Burns.
My name is Kristen Sheehan.
I'm married with 2 children. I'm a stay-at-home mom.
I'm a business owner. My company is called Living Joy, and I coach women who are unhappy and teach them how to break through to a life full of joy.
I'm 18 years old and I'm about to be a freshman at the King's College in Manhattan.
Following my retirement from the IT world in 2001, I pursued music with a passion. I'm an upright and electric bass player, and I currently play in several local bands.
I work for Sanofi Pasteur. I'm in the pharmaceutical industry, which is the largest vaccine manufacturer in the world.
I'm a youth leader at Church in the Vineyard. I have been for 3 years. I watched my high school girls 9th through 12th grade.
I actually run IT for a pharmaceutical company, and it's just interesting how your career choices can evolve.
My passions include traveling, writing, studying languages, and connecting with people wherever I go.
We also like to travel. My husband and I take our children basically all over the world, anywhere from London, Rome, Arizona, New York.
It's one thing that really appeals to me. I love history, and what's great, those two things really have a tendency to mirror each other.
Traveling is a big passion. I've traveled to over 25 countries. I enjoy active vacations like hiking and biking.
I have experience doing local missions. I've been feeling increasingly pulled, drawn, or called to take that experience global and actually do something that's a little bit more out of my comfort zone.
I felt it was time to take a working vacation and help a community and organization.
It's one of the most humbling experiences that you'll ever have as part of your church family.
It was really an opportunity for me to move the ball forward in my life, learning to do goodwill and help others.
God didn't necessarily choose me to go because I had something that was so wonderful that was going to help these people. God chose me to go because there was something He wanted to tell me.
I would like to share about my experience in Uganda.
The things that they have to do on a day-to-day basis are almost primal and organic in survival. I understand the depths of poverty. I understand where people primary interest is to find water, to have medicine for their child, to have enough food for the day. In doing this mission trip, I not only wanted to be effective for another culture, but I wanted to actually see with boots on the ground what an organization that I had been supporting for years actually did, how they did it, how effective they were. What I learned here was they were being incredibly effective, and effective in a way that I didn't even know was possible, which was effective in allowing the actual native people of the country to be a part of their own solution, which was so much more gratifying than just throwing money at something and not knowing whether or not it was working.
My only fear was traveling with 16 people, only 3 of which I knew. I was not part of Church of the Vineyard, but they graciously offered a slot for me on the trip. Although I could fund the trip myself, I learned that it was more important to give the opportunity to others to help donate, whether in funds, goods, or prayer.
When my parents first mentioned the Uganda trip to me, I couldn't think of a huge reason not to go.
I think the biggest fear that I had were my kids, knowing that I was going to be so far away, and God forbid what happened if there was an emergency back home, what would we do? So once we felt comfortable and that our kids' situation was taken care of, there really wasn't anything left on the table that had any reason for caution whatsoever.
I was looking forward to spending some time with my husband serving in Africa, so I needed to wait for him to be called. And I've always felt that if you're called, God will show up and carry you through that.
Strangely enough, being the girly girl that I am, I didn't have many fears going into the trip. Even the medley of mandatory vaccines didn't shake me up very much.
I wasn't overly concerned about any physical risks or health risks. To be honest, I only got the minimum requirements for my vaccines, and I didn't even really give it much thought other than that about malaria or the bugs or kind of camping in a primitive environment, I didn't even really think about it. I think the only two fears that I really had in going was one, the fear of sharing the good news with a group of people in some other country, and the other fear was asking people for help financially in order to get there.
We worked hard. We built a shed, we built a mud house, we chopped trees with a machete, we painted, all good jungle stuff.
The most fulfilling part was the painting that we had done and building the mud house.
I've been on many missions trips in the past. In Africa, we painted for a few days. It wasn't my ideal choice of things to do while in Africa. I wanted to serve with the children because that is my passion. So the first couple days of painting was definitely hard, and I needed to pray a lot for patience to get through that.
We visited the main Camp Kusana and got a history of the organization, as well as participated with a family unit of 20 children. To me, the trip was more like camping, appreciating the little things like a drink of water, a good meal, a good hike, blessed by the invitation to spend time with another culture.
So after we were done blessing the missions family by painting their home, we got to go down into the fishing village at the school and serve with the kids. We played games, we taught them a Bible lesson, and that to me was the greatest day in Uganda. There's nothing that could have compared to serving with those children.
I think one of the biggest challenges for me on the trip was when we went and did the actual outreach to the kids at the school, and we had gone and shared some Bible stories with them, and we were spending time with them and playing games with them. And after we had shared some of the Bible stories, the kids were given an opportunity to ask us some questions about what those Bible stories meant. And one of the questions that one of the kids had asked was, how do you know that God is present in your life? And I felt challenged by that question because I would have rather had them answer that question. I would have rather learned from the children, what is it, how do you know that God is present in your life? I feel like I could have learned more about that topic when the children answered.
A powerful time that we all experienced was being able to do a worship concert for the kids at the school, at the Kasana school. And that was a great experience in and of itself, to be able to play music for them, play music that they're fairly familiar with, American contemporary Christian music. And that was a great experience in and of itself.
I think one of the things that I really enjoyed on the trip was the change in scenery. I think the fact that when you go to this place, there's such beauty that's out there. You look and everywhere is just this amazing view or vista. It's something unique that you've never seen before.
Musana camp is very remote. There's very few people. There are a few people employed from the village that get to come into Musana and work there. We were able to bless a security guard. We built a 20 by 20 mud hut for him and his family of 10 children.
On one of the nights at Musana, we had worship around a campfire with some of our new Ugandan friends. After the songs were over, someone mentioned the game Chubby Bunny, which is a game that essentially involves cramming as many marshmallows as you can into your mouth while saying Chubby Bunny. Not only were our new friends familiar with the game, they loved it. That was when I realized just how big and how cool God is. There are no limits, no boundaries, and no barriers which He cannot transcend. It sounds strange, but that night felt like a small taste of heaven.
When you're in the moment of that, you're just sucking everything in, and it's just this incredible experience when you're in Uganda.
Everything we did on this trip, from building a mud hut for a family in the local village, to teaching the story of creation and playing with children at a nearby school, I was constantly reminded of God's ever-presence in the lives of His people.
I learned at a very young age what it meant to work hard, to be someone of character, and to have a very strong desire to better myself.
Realizing that work was very hard, nothing comes easy, but everything is worth it.
It wasn't really until the second or third day when we were on our way to Musana camps that I found myself shocked by the living conditions of the people in Africa, how they lived in just these huts with clay and brick, really.
There really is some poverty. It does open your eyes. What it really does do is to sit there and say, hey, we have it so good here in the United States. We are so blessed. It really does call you to do more, not only with your time, but with your talents and your treasure.
The way I can best be helpful is if I just get out of my own way, allow God to work through me, and that's really doing the best service for other people.
For people who are looking to go on a missions trip, there are numerous missions trips in the United States that they can go and completely be fulfilled. But if you're called to go someplace like Africa or even Guatemala, you need to go. You need to have faith and let God take care of you and put all of your apprehension aside.
When I returned, I was certainly excited to come back to clean water, hot showers, abundant technology, and familiarity. Things that I, missed while I was there. However, there was a part of me that was envious of the Ugandan people. There was something that they had that I didn't have, and that was a joy in simplicity. And it made me realize that life can be a lot less complicated. Not easy, because life there is hard, but a lot less complicated.
And I found that when I came home, I looked around and thought there was really no need to have half the things that I had.
Not only did I find it very easy to relate to the Ugandan people on a personal level, but I ended up learning a lot about how they approach life. Mpola mpola, or slowly by slowly, taking time to find Christ-like joy in every situation and never ever stressing.
The majority of people really have a good heart and they really care that you're there. They want you to be there and they're very happy that you're there. So I think that's the part of level setting, that there really are good people all over this world, and we just happen to be super blessed to be in America and have much more opportunity than anybody else in the world. I think the overall experience of traveling and going on a missions trip to Africa really helps level set what reality should be and what a true reality is.
I found the Ugandan people to be very compassionate
and loving and caring, but they have a joy and they have a hope and they have real relationships, and it's something that shouldn't be taken for granted. The Ugandan people tend to value the time with you more important than the task you're doing.
The idea that people are people wherever you go, something I had learned during my first stay in France, was just as true here in Uganda.
I did feel it was important not to lose energy from the trip and have it exist only as a working vacation. As a result, I now sponsor a child at the Kobwin Center, which is for the ex-LRA children soldiers of Joseph Kony. I also give monthly to the Masana camp. I participate at CTV in various endeavors.
What's amazing about a missions trip, whether you give your money, whether you go, it absolutely does change you for the good.
If you're given the opportunity or you're faced with the opportunity to go on a trip like that to Uganda or to any missions trip and you're not quite sure if you should go, I would just say take the leap of faith and ask for help financially if you need it, allow other people an opportunity to serve, and just go and see what God has in store for you.
The whole experience when you're there, it's just, you take it all in, and everything that you do is an activity, and if you go there with an open mind, you really do enjoy every single activity that you do.
Nothing will change your heart more than a missions trip.
I had gone on this trip to be a light and serve others, but I ended up receiving the blessings and being humbled as a result.
There was so much to take in as I think back. The trip to Kampala, the safari on the plains, the trip and excursion on the Nile River. I'm sure I learned more than I taught, and I took more than I gave.
If I could give some advice to people who are taking a missions trip like this, I would say don't go with the mindset that you're making this tremendous sacrifice to take your incredible gifts to help these poor, impoverished people. I would say go with a servant's heart would say go to be a blessing. I would say go and listen. I would say go and experience their culture and be with them. And you'll be richer for it.